So my last question is still concerning Pride. So there's a gay gentleman in Manchester called Alex, and he is a volunteer at Sackville Street Garden. So he spends his time cleaning, picking up litter, and he's part of a community group that helps that garden. He's he is gender critical, so he's like you. He's got a lot of the same ideas and thoughts as you, and he was going to go to the vigil to to celebrate the lives of the men who went before, who died of AIDS and are still dying now. And he received a letter from Manchester Pride saying, "You're banned from attending this event, even though it's a publicly owned park in the city centre." Could you tell me a little bit more about that? 'Cause that's quite shocking. How Pride have got to a stage now where they're banning gay men from attending.
It's surreal. I mean, you remember the same thing happened to the lesbians in Cumra, in Wales. You know, they stopped them from marching with the Pride Parade. Alex, I mean, it's my belief that Alexander has been discriminated against by these people, and I imagine that if and he's a smart cookie, is Alexander, so I imagine that he will be seeking some kind of redress through perhaps the law or other formats. And part of the reason why I'm writing what I'm writing in terms of the report from Manchester Pride is because of Alexander. It's not on. You don't get to do that.
So
right? We're coming.
What exactly happened? What exactly happened to Alex?
Well, Alexander's been a thorn in their side for a while.
Like you.
Rather like me. Well, yeah. He's been at it longer than I have, to be fair. But I went with him to one of the consultations on what Pride should be. And you know, they're not bad people, Nick. You know, it's just they're trying to do their job, and we sat with a few people having conversations, but they fundamentally got it wrong, and they live in a bubble of their own. So it was very confected, you know, and it was all sort of, there was little tick sheets that you fit. They didn't want to actually have a conversation. You know, what should it be? Well, it should be about the community, right? Define the community. Well, no, we know what we mean. You know, it was a little bit confected, so which was fine. I mean, they've done some consultation. It's just that they don't like when anything gets too close. It's the same as their humanity pledge. Right, which is it's just totalitarian. It's just, you know, so that was it. And Alexander has been saying, you know, I want to go to these meetings. They've been sending him off all over the place, changing the last place the meeting is going to be had, putting it online instead so he can't get there. And they've actually said that his presence is making people unsafe. I mean, he's a smart British guy. He's a bit like me. He's eccentric in that respect. You know, and he knows his stuff when it comes to what he wants and does, and he's a thorn in their side. He turned up at one of the meetings with a poster just with the monkeypox cases in Britain, in Manchester and London at the moment. Because like him, I also think he's right. I think Manchester Pride would have been a super spreader event, right? If we're not careful, right? So now when LGBT Alliance put up saying the WHO's advice, saying, listen, you need to watch out here. It's affecting gay men mostly at the moment. Everybody went mad. Manchester Pride didn't like it. They all didn't like it. They all wanted it taken down. Oh, so it turns out they were right. You know, so now they're all going, oh, be careful, be careful. Why do you mean be careful? Now, thankfully, we got our act together and there were enough vaccinations taking place prior to Pride. But Alexander was making the point, we need to look at what the figures are after. Oh, they didn't like that. So they called security and he was dragged out, literally dragged out of the meeting. That was at the Human Rights Forum. And in the Human Rights Forum, which they've also recorded, was just nonsense. It was just more nonsense with people on stage shouting into the void. And they've been captured by ideologues. There's no getting away from it. And I think the board must feel paralyzed because they're not dumb people. These are smart people, you know? So they're not stupid. I mean, the business about the pledge badge, that was amazing. You have to have a pledge badge in order to get served in a bar. Oh dear, right? So what they're saying is if I, as a gay man, don't buy a pledge band because I don't agree with the politics of the lobby group that is now Manchester Pride, I won't get served in a bar. Is it me or is that discrimination on belief?
Absolutely.
So I think that they could be in trouble here. So we'll see how it pans out. But things are moving, if somewhat slowly.
I think Manchester Pride new motto basically is, we only support gay people if you're the right type of gay.
It's a good way of putting it. You know, and what gay man in his right mind is going to agree to the fact that he's same gender attracted? If you're same gender attracted, kid, you're bisexual. Right? You can't be same gender attracted and gay. You can't be gay and believe in gender identity, because if you do, you are undoing yourself. You are negating your own reality. I mean, they believe in a gender identity, which essentially means that we're flesh sacks that they fill with a gendered soul that's either masculine or feminine. I mean, this is insanity.
And don't forget that, and this gender soul can change minute by minute.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. You could be one thing Wednesday, next thing Wednesday afternoon.
Yes.
All right then. Yeah, all right. Yeah, fine. Get on with it. So it is utter insanity, especially when gay men have lived through periods where the reality of your body is the thing. It's the thing. So there's that. It's that kind of thing, and they don't understand or don't wish to understand that by doing what they think is being inclusive, they are actually damaging gay men and lesbians, because we are. I mean, the lesbians treated appallingly. Appallingly in Wales. This is not the first time. So they've got to get their head around the fact that TERFs are right. You might not like the fact that they are, but they're right. Okay. And somebody said to me the other day, "You a TERF?" And I said, "I can't be a TERF. I'm not a feminist." I said, "I'm a turd." They said, "What?" They said, "What's a turd?" I said, "It's a trans usurping radical daddy." So I think I'm going to go with that term. I don't, if somebody wants to dress as they want to dress, fine. If they want me to call them Mary instead of Mark, I don't care. What I care about is you can do that, but I'm not living in your insane unreality. If you think you're actually that, you're not, and I certainly don't want to talk to children. Okay.
And I think that's the line where we've crossed now. I think we all can agree that adults should be able to do whatever they want to do within the law with other consenting adults, and I don't care what anyone does. You should be able to do what you want in a free society. Where it crosses a line is in 2 points. The first point is when we start looking at vulnerable children, because all children are vulnerable, they're easily manipulated. And the second point is when you want me to validate your decisions. You can do what you want. I don't care, but I don't have to agree with them. I don't have to like them. All I have to do is give you the right to do it. And I will always give people the right to do it. I just don't have to agree with it, think it's a good idea, or think it's positive. I can actually disagree and think, I think that's horrendous, but you still should have the right to do it.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I say this every time, and Liz Truss was asked the question last night, and she said, "Well, I respect trans people's rights to be who they are." I mean, I respect people's rights to be who they are, but all you actually get is tolerance. Respect's a weasel word, right? You don't get respect, you get tolerance.
You have to earn respect. You don't get respect, you earn respect.
It's like people say, "Well, that's my identity," and I'm like, no. Your identity, you don't pick that. It's formed by others. We are social creatures. So you can stop with that nonsense, because I'm not going to believe you. They'll tell you that, they'll say, "I'm this, I'm that, I'm t'other." It was that. Do you remember the non-binary girl I told you about on Canal Street? I'm non-binary. Really? That's extraordinary. Male or female? Female. Out of the mouths, out of the mouths of babes. So what we've got really is a situation where people need to understand that people with dysphoria aren't the problem. That people with dysphoria should get every care they need, right? It's rare, phenomenally rare. So, we've got to make sure they get every care they need. That is not what this is, right? So it's not people with dysphoria that are the problem. It's trans rights activists. And these are people who believe that just by putting on a bit of lippy and a skirt, you're a woman, or by, shaving your head and putting on a pair of dungarees and a belt, you're a man. And I'm not having it.